just showed up. So, but it was good. If I was the revealer, we can let them think that.
I think you should do the actual design next time.
No. Have you ever seen my? Have you seen my drawings? Are you kidding me? I can't even draw a straight line.
Me either. Nobody can.
That's literally I cannot draw a straight line.
I say if you do it fast, it's easier than if we do it slow and
right.
dry. It's like spilling the pot of water. Whenever you're walking with a pot of water, if you try not to spill it, you're gonna spill it.
That's right. I mean,
oh my God.
I got the yellow ribbon.
Oh my
So, it's okay.
How many times did you sit back just relaxing? Understand movements coming in, yeah, we got the packs in. I don't really wanna see no more traffic. Last pack just came in, let's get it out quick.
I had a hard
Wanna be okay, wanna be alright.
Where's that number?
Wanna see the world.
You mean to lead it out, or you?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Okay, guys, welcome to Kathy and Susie's Kids. I'm Jordan,
and I'm Matthew, and we're here with Senator Brice Wiggins.
That's Brice to you.
Okay, I was asking earlier. Senator Brice,
but Senator, you are a senator, and you've been making moves, man. That's what's up, buddy.
But you can call me Brice with an I.
I'm gonna still call you Senator Wiggins until we have to finish this drink at least.
Okay, that's good.
No, so thank you so much for coming, man. You come to our Rotary. Yeah,
and don't take this the wrong way, but when I walked up here, I thought I was back in my fraternity days back at college in New Orleans.
That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
Kind of what I thought. That's kind of what I thought.
Makes me feel warm and cozy.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
And as I said, I was in college in New Orleans, so that ought to tell you something.
That tells me a little bit.
So where did Brice start? How did Brice get his start? Where did he go to college at?
Oh, wow. Well, golly. Well, I actually started. I've lived here all my life from Pascagoula. Actually, I shouldn't say all my life. My family's from here, but my dad is a doctor, and please don't let people take that the wrong way. He worked his way up, but we moved back when I was 6 years old, and been here ever since. Graduated Pascagoula High School. A good old Panther. I was a junior when we won the state championship, 1987. You know who was on that team? Shane Matthews, Terrell Buckley, Kes McCorvey, Frankie Godfrey. Baby, I'm telling you.
So did you even start?
I was in the band.
Oh, okay. So, but you got to be there.
Yeah, I was there.
What'd you play in the band?
Saxophone. So I got a saxophone. And I got to the point where I was drum major, not that year, but I was there. So.
Wow.
I had the white suit and all that kind of stuff. So
the gloves.
I didn't know I was going to talk about my band career.
Did you ever do any photo shoots with you and your saxophone, like old Mill style?
Did you?
No comment. So
we got to find those.
No comment. So and then I went to Tulane University in New Orleans and the Green Wave, and we won a total of 3 football games in my 4 years there. That was before the Tommy Bowden.
Hold on, 4 years, 3 games?
Yes, that's correct. So that was back.
Were they playing in the Dome back then?
They were, and so we wouldn't go in until literally after halftime. We'd go in and see how bad they were being beaten. And this is no joke. This was when Bobby Bowden just died.
Bobby Bowden. R.I.P.
And we actually played Florida State in the Dome one of those years. And the final score was 77-7. And Bobby Bowden at the end said, we had our 4th string in, but we tried, but we just couldn't stop scoring. So that's how it was. But then I spent 2 years on Capitol Hill working up there, came back, went to law school at Mississippi College and started practicing law. And then after Katrina, ran for I was assistant DA. I was prosecutor for 10 years. Almost 10 years prosecuting felons and prosecuting youth court cases. And then after Katrina, decided to run for the state Senate. There's a guy who was a 3-term incumbent, and I said he's not doing the right job. And we ran and beat him with, I don't know, it was almost 60% of the vote.
How old were you whenever you decided?
So when I decided, I think I was 37, and when I finally ran, it was 39.
All right, Jordan, we're only 34, about to be 35.
September, I make 35.
We're right on.
A good story with this is Michael Watson.
Yes.
So I was living in Latimer, and I was like, he kind of have a similar story a little bit about his. I met him when I had my Jeep. I lived at Eddie's house, and Michael Watson was going door to door. And the dude was like, I mean, heat waves going.
Right.
He was him and his wife. He was sweating. He was just trying to campaign. I picked him up off the side of the road. Didn't know who this guy is. Yeah. Picked him up side of the road, got him a bottle of water, brought him to a few neighbors to put signs out. Actually wrote me a letter when he won. This is when he was first run. That's the relationship I built. But it's one of them stories you meet these people like passionate about like change.
So, well, I have a little bit different story. And I know Michael, we've served together and went to the same high school, Pascagoula High School. But my story is I was out doing that, knocking on doors. And I was in north of Ocean Springs in Jackson County. And
St. Martin, that's where we're from.
So, it wasn't quite over to St. Martin, but it was there. But you'll probably understand when I tell the story. Right. So, and we drove up and there's this house and it was a long driveway. Of course, there's like chickens and stuff in the yard and stuff like that. And I walked up and I didn't see anybody and I knocked on the door. I said, hello. And they said, hello. I said, yes, I'm here. And they stepped out. And literally this lady was half covered, was half naked as she came to the door. And I went, oh, I'm just here I'm just campaigning and all that stuff. I don't have any.
So the movies are true.
But I will tell you, and you saw Michael doing that, when you go door to door like that, which we did, and that's how I think we won, man, people are great, but you see everything and it's great because that's where they live and all of that. So
natural environment.
The door to door is, I mean, it's a big part. I think, to gain that vote. I mean, you knock on a door, but it is, I mean,
it's either.
Well, I had people tell me, said, Mr. Wiggins said, Brice, you came out here, said nobody's ever done that, and you got my vote because you've come.
How many doors do you think you've knocked?
Oh my gosh! But at that time, I can't even say. I mean, thousands.
That's impressive though, because whenever people knock on my door, I know it's either the Jehovah's Witnesses or somebody trying to sell me a DirecTV membership,
or Kirby, or a Kirby, Rainbow Man.
Let me say, everybody has a dog of some kind. I didn't know there was that many dogs, but everybody has a dog. So,
do you have you ever get attacked by someone's dog? Any vicious?
No, actually, no. It was the other one. I was Mark McAndrews, and he doesn't mind me telling this story. He's the port director in Port of Pascagoula, and he lives in Ocean Springs. And I came to the door, and he has like a Great Dane. And
a horse.
Right. I knocked on it and the dog just stood there. He said, that's the first time that dog's never barked at anybody or tried to attack him.
So that's a sign there.
He said, you got my vote.
That's a sign. Yeah, exactly. So take this back to in college. You're not in law school yet.
Correct.
Why did you want to go to law school? You good at arguing?
Gosh. My wife would say that and my parents would say that. Yeah. So do you want me to be cliche or do you want me to be
take us into serious? It. Yeah, take us into
Let's dive in.
I think I always had a passion for serving people, to represent people. And I think we'll talk about it, but my great grandfather was Ed Wiggins. We called him Poppy, who was back in the 50s mayor of Pascagoula.
We got some pictures of that, Garrett.
Kia. There you go.
There we go.
That's my great grandfather. And he actually got off a train. He came from Alabama, was going to go work in the oil fields in New Orleans, decided that wasn't where he wanted to be, got back on the train and ended up getting off in Moss Point and made his home here. And back at that time really at that time it was the 30s, drugstores were a big thing. That was kind of the community center.
Elixirs.
Right. Coca-Cola, all that stuff. So he didn't have a college education. I don't even think he even had hardly a high school education, and created Wiggins drugstores, which were through Jackson County. So he had this service to him. And I think I always knew that. And so I knew law school would allow me to do that. But that being said, I thought the law was something that can serve people. And as I've gotten into it, I have my own law practice. Okay. Been practicing for 20 years. And you can really serve people to help them through the things that they need help through. So that's where I wanted to go to law school.
That's awesome. Because I kind of told you my story with insurance, and I got to watch the Katrina go down. And then whenever it was time for me to declare a major, I'm like, well, this is something that is curious to me, but I want to be a servant. I want to be able to serve and help people understand it. And it doesn't help or it doesn't hurt that you get to make a little bit of money while you're doing it.
No, that's right. But I think I always wanted to, I knew I wanted to be a public servant. And let me say this, and rightfully so, politicians have a bad name nowadays, and the politicians have brought it on themselves. And when I look at it, it's about being a public servant in the true sense of the term, about serving the people. When our country was founded, it's about the founders putting themselves subservient to the people that they serve. And sadly, today there is too much of the politicians putting themselves above who they serve. And I'm tired of it. That's what drove me to run in the first place.
Well, I think you're headed in the right direction.
I mean, you got to think.
Thank you.
So you got to think though too is like, I mean, he was when he made the decision, like you said, I'll be 35 September, but he in his late 30s was like, I got to make a difference. Like,
I'll tell you how you mentioned Katrina, how that came about. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
So I was practicing law, and I first practiced law with the insurance defense.
There you go. Yeah.
So, and no offense to you, but I was like, I don't feel the personal connection.
Right.
So I wanted to get into the courtroom, and I went and became the prosecutor in Jackson County Youth Court, and then into the district attorney's office prosecuting that. And it was a job I really loved. I was representing victims. I was doing good for the community. And then Hurricane Katrina came. And as I've said, and y'all probably know, we all have the pre-Katrina story and the post-Katrina life, right? Yeah. So ours was, it was a good life. I enjoyed it. We were married, and my daughter was 2 months old at the time of Katrina, and my son was 2.5 years old. Katrina comes, and my parents' house is wiped out, destroyed. My house the downstairs is flooded out. We had 5 feet of water in our house. My mother-in-law's house was wiped out. We ended up moving into a house in Gaucher with my parents and their animals and my kids.
That's a lot.
Yeah, a pack and play. And so, but like everybody, or like most people around here, you're thinking, man, what if I had, what am I going to do with my life? How's that going to be? And I ended up finding myself in a place that I never thought I would find myself. And that was, ended up walking through a parking lot, going through an 18-wheeler of donated goods, looking for diapers for my 2-year-old daughter. And also at that time, my son, whose birthday's in September, Katrina came August 30th, didn't have a birthday. And I said, if I'm going to raise my kids in Mississippi, if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to make this place the best state that I can make it.
I mean, 100%, dude.
And it was at that point that I started making my plans to run for, or to figure out how I could do it. And running for the legislature was the best way to do it. And since that, and also you talk about insurance companies, people were destroyed. I think there we were talking about the wind versus water. That, can I say this? That pissed me off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And I said that should never happen. And I'll give you, for instance, I mean, you paid your premiums and you had, I got $10,000 on my house or something like that. Right. My parents had a slab, so many people did. And we got taken advantage of. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. And here's the thing. We can be on Facebook. We can be on Twitter. And that, you can make things happen. But you need to put yourself into the field and make it happen by doing that.
That's
instead of just sitting back and being the old keyboard warrior kind of thing,
I love this guy. See, so I made this meme. I don't know if I should have gave it to Gary, but like I made this meme and I found a warrior on the internet and I put a keyboard over his face. I was like, right. If you get it, you guessing it to Matt. It's like
that seems to be the trend of the complaining state that we're in right now.
I wonder why. So I did not want to be a keyboard warrior at that time, and I, and ran for the Senate, and we beat a 3-term incumbent. And since I've been in the legislature, and I could go down the list, but I think I'll just tell you one thing.
Go down the list.
One of the things I'm most proud of is, when has Mississippi been ever leading the country in education? Well, one of the things that I did was authored what's called the Early Education Bill, and I was fought from both sides on that. And with that, being passed, we are now top 5 in the country in early education. And you know why that's important?
Write that down.
Because people, I walked into your in here. I walked in here and I saw your kid. Was it Jordan?
Oliver? That's my baby.
That's your okay. And they got, I don't know where they go to preschool, but
Good Shepherd in Gulfport.
Okay. So it's places like that. This generation are 2 working parents have to put food on the table, and they need childcare, and they need to be getting the education that they deserve. And Mississippi at that time was one of only 10 states to not have anything like it. And now, because of that legislation, we're top 5 in the country.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah. So Emily, you met. Emily is a orientation coordinator at Pearl Rover Community College in Poplarville.
Yeah.
So she's real big in education. Her mom was Miss Shekels, or a St. Martin teacher for like 35, 40 years. So education is important to my family, definitely to Emily, to my kid. But like that it does help. I mean,
but you know, I'm tired of Mississippi being last. I mean, why I go back to it. I mean, look, I'm tired of the same old stuff that was going on. And when I ran, I mean, by all accounts, when I ran the first time, people, look, the guy I ran against was not a bad guy. He was just, he was the status quo or whatever.
Going through the motions.
And I said, you know what? I'm tired of Mississippi being the same Mississippi, and I'm here to make a difference on that. And I think we've done that. And most people that I know feel that way. And that's I was tired of Mississippi being last in education on that stuff.
So I think, early
I don't mean to get too heavy.
No, that's what we're here for.
I can see your brain's going, wow.
Well, early education.
But because you're passionate. Like you're passionate. So like,
yeah, we do love passion.
So I'm like absorbing, like we got a show going on, but like a person like you in your position you're doing it. Like I said this earlier, like you're not doing the who's. You're doing it because you're trying to make a difference. You're looking at yourself in the mirror going, how can I make the coast better?
Well, you can talk to my wife. When I decided to run for the Senate and I left the job I loved. We literally cut our family income in half. We had at that time, I guess, my daughter was 4 or 5 years old and my son was 7, and started a whole new. I went out and started my own law practice so that I could run for the Senate. And I can tell you that the easy thing would have been to stay where I was, but I wanted to make a difference.
Comfort's easy.
It was, it was not easy at a certain point. And my wife was like, what the hell are you doing?
Nothing worth doing is easy, though. That's what they say.
I'm in. That's right.
So let's talk about some of the other things that you've done. And I know you're proud of most everything that you guys have accomplished, but the prison reform, that was one thing that you talked about and highlighted on kind of in the Rotary Club when you came and spoke.
Well, yeah. And look, y'all pay taxes. At least I assume you do.
Yeah.
So,
I hate it, but I do it.
I know. And we're the corrections, we're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on that. And look, I was a prosecutor. I was in, and I said, when I first started, I was like, man, everybody, needs to go away. What I started to realize was that was just stupid, in the sense that not that people shouldn't pay for what they did. My point is that let's just take a marijuana. Lock them up and throw away the key. And the point is that wasn't being efficient. They're there because they had an addiction. And so we should be trying to address those things. And so over the last number of years, we worked on criminal justice reform, which has with the idea to make people or allow people to become productive members of society to when they get out to do that, and also to put more money into programs like drug court and things like that, so they actually don't go into the system,
right?
Because we're number 2 in incarceration in the country.
I didn't know that.
We're number 2.
I bet you got all kind of stats.
I don't want to bore you too much, but we were number 2, and we were headed. But look, also those things are a result of back in the 90s, the decisions that were made. And what you were starting to find out is when you did the 3 strikes, you're out and all that, state budgets started ballooning. People started going behind bars for the simplest crimes. Now, I am not soft on crime, but what I am is about being smart with taxpayer dollars. Amen. And certainly violent offenders need to go behind bars. But so what we've done, starting with what we call House Bill 585 back in 2013, we reduced penalties on some of the drug cases. We created requirements for the Department of Corrections to create a rehabilitation plan for when they get out. And I think we've been successful, and we've continued to work on that. I told you earlier that you had somebody on one of your podcasts, and they said they made a comment about just locking everybody up and all that.
Yeah, fund. What was it? Policing for profit, I think was.
Oh, yeah, defund the police and all that. And the idea was every little thing that becomes a crime. And really, that's not how the system was set up. And so we have to, what I call right-sized government.
Which is,
I left y'all speechless. I left y'all
Yeah,
speechless.
can you explain a little bit? Can you give me a little more?
Right? Minimal government is right-sized government. I don't know. I just remember.
Well, if you're the libertarian, I guess, yes, that's the case. Look, I look at it this way. Back in the day, when it was founded, and remember, I tried jury trials and criminal trials, and those were for your most violent offenses. You had your day in court and all that. What our system has become is the de facto drug cases and stuff. When I was when I was assistant DA, at any one time I had 300 cases in Jackson County.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
At any one time, and literally 85% of those cases were connected to drugs in some way. So, and that includes your burglaries, that includes your grand larcenies and things like that. And it becomes like, at what point are we going to solve the problems that are leading to this versus just saying?
Could you say that like some of them were like, how many? What is the percentage you think that were just like minor, like small? Just small
stuff
minor
that wouldn't be a crime.
Yeah, like
today.
Well, it depends on what your definition of minor is.
I don't know, like you get busted for having 2 or 3 joints on you.
Actually back then, yeah, you could go to prison for probably up to 12 years. And with the
12 years?
With the 585 we talked about, we actually lowered those penalties. Understand this, that we're not the only ones. The states like Texas and Georgia have done the same thing. And what you're seeing is a reaction and putting smart policies back into place instead of that. Yeah, 12 years for, I don't know, a small amount of weed. I don't, I've been a prosecutor, but
I'm saying like you're assistant, DA. So you look at that, Matt, like and there's like, minor for me, it's like minor things, like, not like soup, like not running an empire. You're not Tony Montana, right? You're not Tony Montana. Like you're
not Fast and Furious stealing 30
and I always
cars,
believe this too, and I always say this all the time. It's like everybody makes mistakes. And whether you want to say it or not, I don't care if you're a politician or whoever, everybody makes
4
mistakes.
today already.
Yeah.
Right.
You make a mistake if you don't get your wife flowers, you make a mistake. Right. You make mistakes and things like that, where it's like, I hate seeing stories when you hear about a guy like been in prison for, 30, 40 years because he got busted for having a joint or a small burglary at a gas station for, you learn. People do learn over time, right?
Yeah. And for me, look, and hate to break out the religious card here, but really it was about part of it's about family values. When you go to prison, okay, that is the most that affects you more than anything. We are Americans.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on freedom. We are thankfully we're despite what people tend to say, we're the most free country in the world. Okay. And taking away somebody's freedom is the most severe punishment that we can do under our government. And so that should be for very serious issues. And so what you see is when somebody goes to prison, it affects their kids, it affects their family, it affects their parents. It's not just them, it affects everybody around them. And so if you can prevent somebody from going to prison, then you're going to be better off all around.
Yeah, what is it? Because I always hear stories about people going in and then they become masterminds at their craft, and then they come out with a college degree,
like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, exactly.
Great
Brice,
movie, by the way.
Great movie. Brice, what is so somebody goes to prison, like say they get price yearly. What does it cost to put a person in prison?
That's a great. The numbers I've heard is it costs about $40,000 a day to house people in Parchman. So do the math. And we're the second most incarcerated state in the country. And so that's why you have hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on those things. And it's about being smarter with your taxpayer dollars. So yes, about $40,000 a day sitting up there.
Is this the kind of stuff you guys talk about in Jackson all the time?
Sadly, it is. Sadly at times, yes.
So how does like one take one of these, I guess, prison reform from an idea to an application, I guess, to apply it? How does that work?
Well, there's actually groups outside of the state that have come in and helped us because honestly, we really needed it. And there's other things. We're not really plowing new ground. We're just applying it to Mississippi. Texas, nobody would say Texas is soft on crime. Texas has done this, and they've been successful. Places like Georgia, and so it's just about understanding it and getting the policies that have been done over time that have actually been tried. There's an old saying that states are the laboratories of democracy.
Yeah,
and
heard that.
And so you see what's going on in Texas, you see what's going on in Georgia, and you apply it in Mississippi, and it works, or you hope it works.
Hope it works. Yeah, it's the blueprint.
So then you draft the piece of legislation, and it always has a financial component to it, and you make those projections. So
when you first got into politics, what's your passion? Did you feel like were you accepted right off the bat, or like did they look at you and go, what are you dreaming about? What are you thinking about? Like, are you going to cause chaos, or calm down, stop, slow down a little bit?
Actually, probably the more I've gone on, they say calm down. There's this old belief in politics that what was it? Just sit down and be quiet and watch.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think I ever did that because
I like it.
I don't think I ever did.
Cheers. That's sick, bro.
Because I said I ran against a guy who was a 3-term incumbent, and the people chose me. Okay. So they already had somebody that would just sit there and kind of do that. And then when I got up, I'm passionate about representing my people. And I had one person tell me, said, I've never seen, and this time I was a freshman, and they said, I've never seen anybody go around talking to people like that and doing all that. And yes, I would I'd ask questions in committee and stuff like that would probably, let's just say, make some people upset, but that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's why you
shake the bush,
the bush and do that. Yeah.
So Senator,
and I'll give you a for instance.
One second, Senator, though. Senator, we got Guido from Juke Joint. He just said, good. They're just tuning in. Good evening, fellas. And you can answer this after this, but Josh that has the Mississippi, the pedal cab, Josh, what is it? Mississippi party bike.
Okay.
He said thoughts on the vaccine cards and voter ID. We'll get to that, but like on your topic. But I'm just saying, like, now people are getting it. They're like, they're digging you, dude.
Thank you.
You're passing the vibe check, as the kids call it.
I'll give you a story. And I hadn't told this story in a long time, but this literally was probably it certainly was my first term. It was probably the first couple of weeks up there. Had a committee meeting, and I'm like, I just came off the campaign trail. I just won and all that. And I start in committee, and I run in and I start handing shit out, if I can say that.
Yeah,
and I started handing it out, and one of the staffers in the lieutenant governor in Mississippi presides over the Senate. And they brought me back and they said, "You don't need to be doing that. You can't do that. You can't do that. I'll tell you what, if you do that, we're gonna,
was it just like pamphlets or?"
Yeah, it was like information and stuff like that. And they basically threatened me. And I stood there in the hallway of the Capitol. I said, I tell you what, I said, you understand here, I got here without your help. I will stay here without your help.
I love this.
Me what to do. And honestly, it did. And I pushed back and it worked. And because I was honest about it, I think. But yeah, I said, you don't tell me what to do on that. And I don't need you to tell me how to represent my people.
I can tell you right now, sitting in a room with you, your energy.
Yeah,
I'm getting just like the energy, the vibes you bring right now are so positive. It's I feel it, man.
I'm not even paying you to say that.
No, not at all. This is our podcast.
Yeah, we asked you to come on.
I mean, so guys, I'll just tell you right now, listening right now, Matt and Senator Brice met at the Rotary Club. Matt came back. It's like, hey, we got to have Brice on the podcast. I love this dude. Like his energy, you're going to love him. Like, and it was a true thing. That was he was like, you got to meet this guy. And it's true. Like, I'm like, kind of like I'm fanboy right now.
Are you one to run?
You got a man crush?
Yeah, for sure. I do.
No, I think the for somebody like me who's teetered with the idea of a political run at some point in my career.
Is this breaking news?
No, it's never been breaking news.
Okay.
Anybody who knows me has known this. And I look at people like you as like in awe, are just like, man, how did he get here?
You're that Randy Moss
about that.
Right? You're that Randy Moss.
Yeah. So I see your route and how you got there and the success and the factors that drove the passion that I guess you brought with you. And I just take it, fuel my fire with.
So one, I encourage you to follow that passion because we need good people in office. But I will tell you a story to that. People, as I've come to find out, want to control you in politics, be it the establishment, whatever.
Right.
And when I was deciding to run at the time, there were 2 seats or whatever. And I wanted to run for the Senate because I thought, one, I could represent my people the best. And that fit me the best. And I had, it was kind of shadowy, but I had people come out and say, we will give you a bunch of money to run for the House seat and you not run for the Senate, because at that time I was taking on this incumbent person. And they said, we will, whatever it is. And the guy that's going to run, we will tell he's not going to run and you run for that seat. And when you're a first time candidate, that can be enticing. And I told them, I said, hell no, I'm running for the Senate because that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I want to do. And sure enough, we ended up winning. I think they were taken aback by that, but if I had done that, they would have control because they gave me the money and they gave me the, I guess you would say, the office to get in there, and I wanted to do it my way. And I think
that so Gary just wrote #NoPuppet.
I like that.
You see it. That's awesome. So often.
So we go with #NoPuppet. That's real though.
You see it so often to where people expect something for their favor. Every favor costs a favor. That's right. The world we live in. But now times it's like endorsements or plugs and stuff. It's almost like you sell your soul.
And don't get me wrong. Look, the whole system and our founder set up. Compromise is built into the system, and those people who say it's not don't understand their history and certainly don't understand how government works. That being said, you don't have to sell your soul. There are people that do it. I've seen it. You don't have to sell your soul, and I will not sell my soul to that. I stand by the votes that I make, and I have a reason for doing the ones that I do. And yes, there are people that want to control you, including, outside the legislature too. But you have to use your brain and you have to use your principles of what to govern you and how you do that, because you're going to be pulled in all different ways.
You do, because I can tell you right now, I can name 100 people off that are in the position too.
So guys, we got Scott Delano came in too, and Josh,
are you serious?
Yeah, Scott Delano. Now that you've talked about Brice on criminal justice, now ask him about Brice on BP.
Okay. That's huge.
Josh, we're going to get back to you on that a little bit.
Fighting for all kind of funds down here. What was it? Tidewater? Am I saying it right?
No, that's in Virginia.
No, okay. Then what am I talking about? What is
but
the
let me
BP
say,
funds?
Scott Delano, Senator Delano. He got tired of being in the House and he wanted to be up where we are in the Senate.
The big dog.
No, that guy is awesome.
He's got a sweet beard.
He does. That guy is awesome. And he represents his folks, and I appreciate Scott as a great colleague. If you want to talk about Brice on BP,
that's what he wants.
Okay. So yes, the BP dollars that came into the state, I did the legislation, and Scott was in the House doing that legislation. And what you got to understand about the legislation, people are jealous of us on the coast. Okay, they say you got the beaches, you got the money, you got the casinos.
Oh, we were coast trash in Austin.
Oh, exactly. Well, and you mentioned Michael Watson. Up until Michael, let's see, the old saying, you couldn't get elected in Mississippi if you were from the coast because everybody thought you were a drunkard, you were difficult.
I don't know where that stigma.
Well, drunkard might be fine. I mean, we're from the coast, guys. Let's get over it, guys. You're just jealous,
right? So anyway, they wanted it was always about defending against other people the rest of the state taking the money, because, and I've said this on the trail, that when I didn't math was not my strong suit,
Yeah,
but
I wasn't a math league.
but I could add. And in 52 senators from the bottom 3 counties, you had 7. Last time I checked, 45 outvoted 7. Okay. So you had to be strategic. And if that came down to votes, we were going to lose on the money. So we worked for 3 years to get legislation to get passed to keep that money down here on the coast. And it's the bottom 6 counties. And I think that's good. And we pushed it. The Senate passed it 4 separate times. It died in the House. We finally got it done in 2018. And for the last 2 years, we've been able to fund the projects down here in the bottom 6 counties that are where BP happened. Last time I checked, BP didn't happen in Tupelo.
Exactly.
And that being said, look, the Senate, my colleagues were very good about it. But I remember when that bill was going through, I stepped into the House and I saw amendments being put forth. And one of the amendments was, we're going to take all that money and split it amongst 82 counties in the state. And they had to fight those amendments off.
What?
That's what was going. Yes, to take the, I think it's $300 million and split it amongst all 82 counties on the BP.
That's crazy.
So
it's crazy even to think that.
I mean, I love you guys, and I know, but for me, anything past Hattiesburg, like
not the coast.
Yeah, it's not. Like, I love you guys. I love all y'all. Like I love all y'all. But like I had my buddy and his girl came in from Savannah, Georgia, and they came in and I took them to Adventures, took them down to the coast. We went downtown Ocean Springs, showed them, the coast. Guys, for me, it's anything past Hattiesburg. It's a whole different vibe. It's a different.
So let me ask you this about that money. Whenever it was sitting before they, I guess, divvied it out or counted it out, was it sitting in like a fund that was making interest that we were?
Yeah. So that particular, there's a different.
That's a good one.
Well, different buckets of money, but that particular one, which the legislature had control over, that was. That money came into the state. And so the legislature has the decision-making authority over that. And it sat there for 3 years because we were afraid others were going to take the money. Okay. And it took us 3 years to get the legislation through the legislature to keep the money down here on the bottom 6 counties. And so we weren't, and we tried multiple times, but it sat there till we could have the proper legislation done and get there. And Scott, now Senator Delano, had a big hand on that in the House when we were doing that. So
I think a lot of you guys get maybe bad reps because it's like Democrat versus Republican always. That's what that's why the world pitches it, right? That's what they want.
That's true.
But whenever you guys are in session, you're fighting for your own agenda, but you're still human beings, and you're still, I guess, you got more in common than you got out of common, right? So you want to, and you're right. Let me say this: you're right, but you want a secret. Yeah,
it's not really a secret because it's public, but that they don't talk about. At least 80%, maybe 80 to 85% of the votes in the Mississippi legislature are either unanimous or certainly bipartisan. It's the rest of the 15 to 20% that the media wants to talk about. To divide. And that goes for appropriations. That goes for general stuff. If you go look at it, 80 to 85% are unanimous or bipartisan. I
always had that mindset. Like I thought that too, and that's one of our big missions behind this podcast is let's unite everyone. Let's show everyone how much we got in common versus how much we don't have in common. Or you just see this divide and conquer going on way too much these days.
And look, I'm on social media. Part of that is social media, but I hope that people understand that people have agendas. Okay. Right. When they're putting something out, they're having a certain agenda. I don't have an agenda, but
right. No,
other than
you want your kids to be educated and you want,
but I've said this, Fox News, CNN, they all have an agenda. Okay. But they only tell you about the things that are going to be controversial rather than telling you about the other
positive.
And look, I tell this stat. Yes, I have stats. If you hadn't figured that out.
No. I'm a stat.
There's about, and the numbers are pretty consistent over this. Every year there's around 3,000 bills that get filed. Wow. At the end of the session, only about 300 become law. And of those 300, around half of those are appropriation bills, which generally are voted on unanimously.
And so appropriation bill, can you kind of give a little more definition on that?
Yeah. So your teachers, your public school teachers, your state troopers, your crime lab, your district attorneys, your assistant district attorneys, excuse me, all of them get paid by the state. Okay. And that's just a small sample. And so appropriation bills are what funds those salaries or things like that. Okay. And so there's functions of government, crime lab. Okay. If there's a murder, who's going to go look at the DNA? Well, it's the state crime lab. Well, that costs money. All right. If your teachers, okay, they're not doing it for free.
Right.
So where do they get their salary paid? It comes from the state legislature on that. And so, but that's also from the revenue that comes in, which is through your sales tax and your
lottery tickets now.
Lottery.
Right? Yeah, we scratched off some last night.
And we should have won. We won $5. We won $5.
But we did do some research and we saw some stats.
And we were thinking about you too.
Yeah, we were doing homework for our podcast with you tonight. And we were like, where does this money go? So we started looking it up. And a lot of it went to, I think, education, or a good portion of it.
So, yes, it does. So since you're getting into that, of the budget, so we have about a $6 billion budget in the state of Mississippi.
$6 billion?
$6 billion.
Are we the poorest?
We are kind of small compared to some others, but that's what we have.
That's what we are. Yeah, I own it. I'm with you.
That's what we have. And then of that, about between the education budget and the Medicaid budget, that's 2/3 or around 75% takes up the whole expenses. Education is at least 50% of the whole state budget. So of that $6 billion, half of that goes to education in different forms. I was chairman of Medicaid, the first chairman of Medicaid in the Senate, and that budget alone is the largest budget item. That state dollars is $1 billion. Okay. When you add in the federal funds, that goes around $7 billion.
It's got to quadruple.
So Medicaid alone, when you add in all the funds, is bigger than the state budget of state dollars.
How did you get appointed chairman of that?
Well, I say
statistics.
You always have the answer.
No, because like it is. He knows. He's a numbers guy. Like he knows the percentages. They're going. You know what? We need this guy on the committee.
I think they needed me somewhere because I was causing problems. We're going to put Wiggins over at Medicaid and let him.
Well, it worked.
And so you sit on a couple committees, correct?
In the Senate, each senator has about 7 committees that they serve on.
What are yours?
So I'm chairman of Judiciary A, that's over all the, let's just say, the laws and legal things in the state. I'm on Judiciary B, which is your prosecution laws, appropriations, which appropriates the money, education, ports and marine resources, and public health. And public health, if you want to know what they do, just go look at what's happening.
Wear masks.
Or deal with medical marijuana.
Oh yeah.
And so we're having hearings on that.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. I mean, that's
how is that for a softball?
I think pretty easy. I mean, we were talking about the guy getting busted with a couple joints, doing 12 years in jail.
Let's go on me. That first, you don't really know me. You don't know me that well or anything. But also, so I have cerebral palsy. I'm a Shriner's kid. I definitely can't feel my right foot. Have in my early 20s, they put me on Lortabs and every other pain medication. I actually pushed myself off of all the drugs over that. Cool. So, for me, I just want to stand and tell you that like medical marijuana and all this stuff, I would rather do that than take a pill.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're going to kill my liver. Let's be honest. So, I mean, this is something that I'm passionate about just because I've always just wondered why not.
Right.
But so, you know that I'm just,
my passion comes into following the votes. And if 90% of the world wants to do something, then you better do it.
But you know what? Honestly, that's the case. The Initiative 65, 75% voted for it, and it got ruled unconstitutional. So the legislature's dealing with it. Look, the people of Mississippi have spoken. Actually, the country has spoken. It's moved across the country. Yeah. There's 30-something states that have it. So are we going to be last again? And we're going to see a bill of some kind.
Are we going to be last again?
Well, they had mentioned special sessions about it. Do you think that's going to be anything that happens?
Yes, I think. Well, we've had the hearings, and I think I'm hearing there's talk between the House and the Senate leadership or the chairman, And if that gets there, then the governor will call a special session for it.
So in my mind, it's just like the way to wet the beak, right? You got to get the tax dollars off of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of goes back to what you were saying before with the prison reform. There's blueprints from other states.
There are.
That show you, what works where, what doesn't work where.
And to that example, during the hearings, we've heard from people, legislators from Utah, which is one of the most highly regulated states in medical marijuana. We heard from Oklahoma, which is one of the least regulated states. And we heard from legislators from Colorado, which is one of the first.
Yeah.
So we've heard what they've done, and we're going to take that and fit it to Mississippi.
Well,
We'll do that.
It's definitely a hot topic. And I think it's more so a hot topic because one is change. It's almost like a taboo subject, but I think it's also a hot topic because, like I said, if you got the majority of people voting for something, that's how you became a senator.
Yeah.
The majority voted for
and
you.
you're right about that, man. Because I mean, and when you did vote this time in Mississippi, I hate to say this, but they made it like a trick question for a lot of us. Like I was sitting there voting on it going, what is this? Like
well, there was so many people pushing their
didn't-
agenda, like read it this way. No, read it this way.
Well, understand the legislature didn't have anything to do with the Initiative 65 part of that. That was the ballot initiative done by the citizens. Now, the legislature did put, and this was allowed under the law, an alternative. So I do think that kind of got some people confused or whatever.
So to my knowledge, and this is the way I look at it, just as a normal citizen, like paying attention to minimal things, like I always do, halfway paying attention. The people that I guess don't want it in place or didn't want it in place, everybody has the idea that it's the pharmaceuticals that are pushing behind that. And they're like, okay, well, there's going to take money away from the pharmaceuticals. But that's really not the case. It's more, I guess, actual medical studies that are bringing this stuff in, saying this is curing seizures. This is giving, cancer patients relief.
Well, I don't want to. So I'll tell you what we've heard in the hearings. So if you hear from the doctors, they say that's not been studied enough to definitively say under the scientific method that it makes these cure. However, there's enough anecdotal evidence and some other studies that have been done that people believe it is doing that. And just like, and in extremes, not extreme, but in terminal cases and cancer and stuff, we want to do that. We already allow CBD oil and stuff like that. So this is kind of the next iteration. So, but yes, let me put it this way. I think why you see that is with the opioid crisis and people look for something else. And then the pendulum swung to crack down on the opioid abuse and stuff like that. People were looking for alternatives. And so you have it that way.
Which I'm okay with. I've had a lot of friends die from opioids.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it.
You can see that when you went to so I remember going to the doctor. So I remember getting, it was 2 Lortabs a day, and then it was 3.
Right.
Then it was 4.
Right.
And then it was like, let's throw in like a Soma. Let's throw it to sleep. I'm like, and I told the doctor, I can't do anymore. Like,
right.
Even now, like if it's a Lortab, I'd only split it. Like I couldn't, your body gets so adapted to the pills, like guys. And I say that even to your ibuprofens or your Advils, your Tylenols, like taking these kind of pills or, anything, but like your body you get accustomed to it.
Right.
Is this one of those taboo subjects that's still up there? Like you still got people that are fighting in Jackson and it's like
there are legislators who are anti. Yes, that's correct.
Are they all over the age of 55?
Generally, yes.
See, and that's another thing, honestly, Brice, that intrigues me into one to change.
Cheers, Matt. Cheers,
hope and change.
Just lay it out there.
That was the best, man.
This is back to what you were saying earlier, and that's, are you going to be there and you're just going to stay there? Or are you going to be there and you can change things up and do things for the better? And it takes an educated mind to be able to see something and realize, okay, this is going to work or this isn't going to work.
But people have to really, back to kind of what you're saying, people have to Mississippi's, we got the younger generation coming in, let's just say, and look, we got the trajectory is good. We just there's people that stand in the way, and look, I get it and I understand, but we need to keep up with the times and things are moving fast.
Well, it's all about that bottom dollar, baby.
There you go. Hey, I was going to kind of, y'all had another picture with my wife. I wanted to show that. I know we were getting a no,
no. So
we're just solving the world problems here, guys.
Oh, there we go.
So Corey Hudson said, "Good Lord, who's going to make the money
on the marijuana?"
Yeah, I mean, is it the guy from like Inspector Gadget with the metal claw with the cat? You know what I mean? Like,
there will be a kingpin. There will be somebody on top of it.
It depends on who you talk to. So
here she is, right here.
I hope it's somebody from Mississippi. That's all I can say.
That's when I was dressed up. The photo before that
with the bow tie
back in the day.
Where was this at? Oh, right here.
Yeah, that one was. Man, I had hair. I think that was either Jazz Fest.
I would definitely chug a beer with you right there.
I was probably doing that back then. That was either Jazz Fest in New Orleans or the 4th of July on the mall in DC.
That's awesome.
So
how long have you and your wife been married?
22 years.
Wow.
And we met in DC.
And you knew she was the one right then and there, right?
Sure. No, actually, we did meet, and I don't mind saying, because she may mind it, but she knows I say it. We did meet in a bar, but we've been married for 22 years. But I did call her after that, and she turned me down 2 times before she would go out with me.
Like, I mean,
and I hadn't let her forget that.
But you didn't have text back then, though, right?
No. So
it was like a phone.
It was an actual no, but believe it or not, she did. I called.
Was it hanging on the wall?
You want to go out? And she literally gave me. I have a headache. I can't.
I'm washing my hair. I'm washing my hair right now. So now you guys got two children. Yes. Your son's going to Ole Miss, hotty toddy.
He is.
You told me you just left the alumni. I was at incoming freshman.
Yeah.
Are they there already?
No, they're not there yet.
When are they leaving?
He's going this weekend, so we're taking him up Friday to go up there.
Which dorm's he in?
He's in Pittman dorm. He's in the honors.
That must be a new one that I don't know. It was honors. I didn't even know about the honors college.
Yeah, right.
So I got a question though. With
did you ever step inside the honors college?
No, I rode by a few times.
So for you being like going in the like you said, you're in your late 30s, like to decide politics is something for you, because like you could have been an attorney doing car wrecks and making tons of money.
I would have not have done that, but
I'm just saying, like, you could have picked any of the fields, but for me, it's like you decided to be like, let me better the community.
Yes.
And now were you 10 years? How many years have you been altogether? 9, 10 years
in the legislature,
like run in politics.
So it's I'm in, I think, my 10th year.
10th year. So 10 years. So and you're growing. Like I watched you today, guys. You check him out. Like it's Brice Wiggins. Check out his Facebook.
Yeah, it's on Instagram. You're on everything.
Today he's hit like the whole entire coast, like,
and here.
Here. So it's like this guy's really like that guy about the community, and like he really cares about us.
So when are we making the presidential push, or what's next?
Dude, I want to know. Like, I want to be a part of it. Congress. Where we go? What are we gonna do?
Well, I appreciate. I'll say this, and I don't know yet, other than to say I'm sick and tired of the self-interest that I see going on. And yes, our current congressman is under ethical violations in Congress, and that's a fact. And I'm sick and tired of it. We are better than that. The people deserve better than that, and it's something that we all ought to be upset about. And,
Hashtag no puppet.
No
that's right.
That's right.
Garrett, good call.
But look, I talk about this. I'm sick and tired of it. The mayor of Moss Point just was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison.
Absolutely.
And did he do Texas too? He did a home thing too?
He did. If you remember, Dr. Bill Walker, DMR, went to prison for 5 years.
Well, I read a stat that we were the most corrupt state.
Correct. And
other than New Orleans.
Well, yeah, that's probably right. And so after that, when I was chair, my first year, or my first term, was chairman of Ports and Marine, drafted the DMR Accountability and Transparency Act, which addressed the DMR scandal. And you haven't heard any problems since then. At least I certainly haven't. So you had that. Then you have Christopher Epps, the Department of Corrections head, who's spending 20 years in federal prison. Enough. It's enough.
Do you think it's something that is it's there? It's almost like a constant, like a shadow. There's always going to be a shadow. You think corruption's always there, and you just have to either look one way or the other, or fix it, or what is your stance?
That's a great question. And let me say, because the system is built on humans, there's always going to be a level of that, but we are a free democratic society, and we're not, the Taliban, and we're not all that, these corrupt societies. Sadly, it seems to me that Mississippi is more than its fair share. And I haven't done the studies of why that is, but the fact is that's the case. And I just named them. Yeah. And if you're talking about the Congress thing, look, there's only 535 members of Congress. Okay. That's the country and the world's window into South Mississippi. And so it's a fact. So our current congressman has corruption hanging around his neck. Do you think he's going to be effective up there?
No.
Okay.
He's owned.
Well, some would argue that. And so, and look, that it's the same way with the mayor of Moss Point who went there. I mean, he's in prison for 2 years. We are better than that. Okay. At one point, you didn't have that going on. I'm sure it was always went on, but certainly not to that level. And look, I fought that white collar crime while I was in the DA's office. Here's why it's so important, because when you're in public office, it's a public trust. Oh. When I get elected, I'm in that. That's not Brice Wiggins' office. That's not, the Wiggins family office. I'm basically in there to protect it for you. Okay. And if your politicians are corrupt, then people lose faith in the system and the society becomes corrupt. That's what happens in Venezuela.
I think it's happening here a little bit.
Well, and I understand that. And that's why I'm willing to stand up and have always stood up to try to fix those things. But that's what Russia, Venezuela, let's be honest, China, Cuba, and we should be the best country on that stuff. And because people want to, let's talk about economic development. People want to invest in countries and places that they know are safe, that is governed by laws, not by corruption. I'll take Chevron. I was talking and Chevron's in my district, and Chevron has its largest refinery in.
You have like Chevron Ingalls. You have
Chevron and Ingalls.
The hard work and
that's right.
Builds the world.
That's right. But I was talking to one of the former refinery managers, and he spent time down in Venezuela. And he told me, he said it was the most corrupt place he'd been, and he hated it because of that. And they can't do business like they need to do business because of the corrupt politicians.
I feel like that way in China and Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, as a citizen that pays attention to the news a little bit, you hear that kind of stuff. And typically you don't ever hear hey, they just did this and it made X amount of jobs for the country. No, you hear the negative stuff, right?
That's right.
So they're honing in on this, what was the Biden son deal with the Ukraine?
He's an artist too now.
Yeah.
But it's almost like every rock you look under, you will find something.
Yeah. And look, I get it. It's going to be around, but there's different levels. And sadly, in Mississippi, I think we've had more than our fair share, and it's incumbent upon us to stop that. But it's also incumbent upon us to hold our officials accountable. And I found that people don't necessarily want to speak up, but that's why it's important for people like me to do that.
Yeah. So Senator, for me, with one big thing that we're like, I'm the Sands project in Ocean Springs.
Yes.
I'm behind it. I mean, I'm supporting my buddy that's developing it, and it's been a big issue.
It could be the hat that you're wearing.
Yeah, no, 100. No, but it's been that hat. It's just like seeing that development of of creating. We're going to grow. No matter what, we're going to grow down here. You can't keep it a secret forever. People are going to move here. And we had a green light to grow, and then it went yellow, red, whatever. But you see all this stuff, and it's like, holy crap. You get a green light to build, and then you're taken down. And that's been a big part of our podcast.
I feel like that's back to the certain people who have their own agenda. That's
right here. Pushed, for me, it's it's just, you're bringing people in, you're bringing tax revenue, you're bringing in.
I don't know all the details of that. I will say this though: laws are there, and they're supposed to be followed, and all of that. If they're not working or they're not conducive, then you change them, and you go to the people and you change them, and that's how it should work. So I don't know all the details about that, but also I think people should have a broader view of things than just. Do you know what NIMBY is?
No, sir.
NIMBY?
No, tell us.
NIMBY. You ought to know what that is.
No.
Not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard. So there's in law, we talk about that. There's the NIMBY idea. Not in my backyard. I don't want anything messing up my backyard, even though it may be better for the community as a whole.
Right.
And it's the NIMBY, and I understand it. That's part of it, but people need to get out of that NIMBY NIMBY kind of mentality.
Dude, I love this dude.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like I really like.
feel
I'll
blessed
tell you,
to have you here.
I love this dude. Like, and that was, and it was not to push, but like the fact that like, you know, with politics, like you're shaking every, like we're shaking the tape right now. That's what you're doing. Like this is who you are. You shake up a lot of people.
Well, that's fine. That's what I think.
So
people
what's next on the agenda? Is there any special projects that you guys are heading up right now that are
in the legislature?
that are game changing for us? Or
well, I think we had the tax reform that was put out by the Speaker of the House that died in the Senate. And look, as a
they're taking away income tax, or is that it?
As a Republican, smart tax reform is on the agenda. It's the details that we need to work out. So I think that's coming. You're going to see the medical marijuana, like we talked about, that's going to be there. But also you have all this money coming in that is kind of, it's a situation that we hadn't really had because of the stimulus money and all that and how you do that. And we talked about the lottery. So you have the money, but also here's another stat for you since y'all like stats.
That's right.
So during the pandemic, Mississippi was the #1 state for increased alcohol sales. We increased alcohol sales by 30%.
They can't even get Bland's anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
I want my Eagle Rare. Where's it at?
No, what I'm saying is the tax money, our tax revenue is up because more people in Mississippi bought alcohol than in any other state.
What about guns?
Huh?
What about
I don't know
guns?
about the gun. No, I don't think those were up.
Alcohol and guns. I understand.
That's right.
Generally
And
run
He's
hand in
kind of like
hand.
the Texas, like the what is the one calculator that was always like the
Texas Instruments.
Texas-
TI-82.
That is what Senator Bryce is.
See, people don't let me talk about it. Y'all let me talk about this stuff.
No, but
People like Senator Delano, they tell me to be quiet.
We're not going to restrict you to talk about
because it's like, so with art, like we told you when you walk on, like there is a generation that's coming up, and we want the platform because our demographics are 20, probably 20 to
60.
actually
I'm not
now,
even going to limit. We got
like,
old people.
it's getting older now. Like it's grown, but like it's from like 20 to 60, 70 now, and it's one of the things where people like, I want them to listen. I want them to like.
They should.
And
drive
we want to make sure that they know that they've got more in common.
Well, you know what I like, because I've listened to a number of your episodes, and you're local, okay? You're local, talking about the local issues with local people.
That's right.
And we talked about the news earlier. You don't get that from the CNNs and the Foxes and the way things work. And of course, we've lost newspapers and things like that. And y'all are talking about local issues that is local to us.
Yeah, it's prudent.
I mean, that's what the reality is this. Everybody wants to watch what goes on in DC and all that, but that literally has the least amount of effect on your daily life. You know what has the most effect is that city council meeting that's going on every other week. That's the ones who do that because that's where your roads are and your
Sidewalks
ditches and your stuff like that. The stuff that goes on in DC, while it's important, it's
not going to affect your everyday to day.
It's exactly right. And yet you listen to the news and they make it sound like that is what the case is.
I know. Those stinking news reports.
But I think that you talk about your generation. I think, and my son, like we said, is going to, he'll be a freshman in college. That generation's, we need to be listening to this generation or your generation and
all generations to a point until they start telling you to slow down when you drive too fast.
But I think it's so important because it can be positive for the state of Mississippi.
So I want to give a shout out to, and he listens to us in the morning times. He runs our power lines. Jonathan Rainey out of Jackson County. He's when I met him, like he loves our show. He gets up in the morning. The reason we have power is because of him. The reason, he's one of them listeners that he's like, man, y'all are like tapping in. Y'all are tapping into something I care about, and a great experience. Like he's moved different companies, through his thing, but it's all about his family. And he was so like, I didn't know that he was a fan of us. Like
not many people. That's how we find out.
But he was like super. I gave him a crawfish beer hat. So shout out, guys. You want merch to help us get cooler cameras, be Hollywood? Crawfishbeer.com.
Yeah, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to set a new bar for entertainment.
But it was one of the things where you met, like, where he was like genuinely like excited because he listens when he gets up in the morning at 4 a.m. He on his way to work he puts us on.
Yeah, look, there is no doubt that people feel disconnected from their elected leaders. Okay. And there's probably multi faceted reasons for that, but it's there, it's real. And the younger generation feel that way. And that's why, no offense, well, there is no offense, but that's why I'm on here talking about it, because I want to connect with those folks. And I think that's what's driven a lot of what my success has been. And I appreciate that. And look, the coast has a big, significant part of the younger generation versus other parts of Mississippi. Yeah. And we need to be tapping into that.
No, I agree
with
that.
But I also think for us, not on your side, like you're a politician, but like the youth needs to get out and vote.
Yes.
The youth needs to get out and knock doors. Because I've knocked doors. Joel Carter, John Carter's one of my brother.
Right.
We do the pink dress run.
Right.
So come out to that pink dress run. We got karaoke going on. But like we've started our own nonprofit. All our money goes to Gulfport Memorial Foundation. We raised money. We did this 6 years ago. John called me one time, was like, dude, we need to do better. Like we need to we need to like get out and like raise money, do something for the community. So we've done it for breast cancer. My mom was a cancer survivor and stuff like that. But you look at like this young, like the people, the youth, you need to form something, be behind something, help politicians, because you know what I hate the most is when I do hold that sign, in the rain or knock them doors, and it's like 20% of our population goes and votes.
Right.
It's
and look, politicians know that. And I've said everywhere I've been, I say, go out and vote. Look, the city elections that just happened, I guess, a few months ago, the percentage, 20% at the most.
That's crazy.
I mean, politicians, look, at the end of the day, are smart, and they go, look, if only 20% are going to come out and vote, I only have to listen to 10% plus one.
Yeah.
That's all I have to listen to. Okay. Is that 10% plus one? So if you're, if it's 1,000 people, all they have to listen to is 10 people or whatever, if my math's right. And so that's ridiculous. But if they know that 80% of the people are going to come out and vote, then they have to listen to
everyone. Or the more anyway. Right. And
so,
you're a servant to, I guess, your constituents.
Yeah. So right. I would say he's like the bulletproof vest, like the bulletproof vest of like life. Like honestly, he's putting his neck out on line and he's getting hit first. Like, and I would a person like you, like you're just throwing yourself out there.
Well, thank you.
And you're fighting, and then it's up to us, the youth, the people, anybody to stand behind them. And that's
you certainly inspired us. I know that. I told you that already.
Can I mention one thing? You mentioned the pink dress and your mother. Well, my wife, who we showed, is a breast cancer survivor. And I've talked about our Katrina story, and I guess it was my 4th year in the legislature. We found out that Heather, actually by a self-exam, she went and she had stage 2.5 breast cancer. And you want to talk about rocking your world. And my kids were certainly in middle school.
Yeah, young. That's scary.
And she went through, went through chemotherapy and radiation and went through that. And she, but what they told us was she had the kind that Angelina Jolie, if you remember, she had a double mastectomy and all that. And so we went through that. And when you realize that your wife, who you've been married to for all those years,
best friend,
is going to be gone, and your kids are going to be without their mother, that was scary. And so, but you know what? It gave me personally a perspective, because you think, I'm a senator, and you know what? They said, look, this can happen to you. And you realize what's important. Okay. When you're faced with that, the arguments that go on about, to be honest, about
they don't matter anymore.
This tax or that. And you're going, really? Y'all are going to argue this? And my wife over here has been going through, she lost her hair. She's been going through breast cancer and chemotherapy. This is what we're going to argue. I don't know if I should go here, but we're going to argue over masks when about where or not wear, when my wife has gone through breast cancer and chemotherapy and was, my kids could lose that.
It puts perspective on it.
Yeah.
Well, we're standing with you. And so when I say this about my mother, like, so in his mother, like Kathy and Susie Kiss, and Matt's had cancer.
I have not had cancer.
No,
my
your
father
dad
had it. Yeah.
Robert Brooks. had cancer. How old were we?
I was
Like,
5 years old. He had lymphoma of the stomach. He had a full stomach removal. He's been in remission now for 30 years.
And he spanked my ass many times. Okay,
the doctors told him he would never be over 150 pounds,
but he does like triathlons now. Like, he's like in his 60s.
It's all about testimony.
Yeah.
Just like you just kind of shared your testimony. There's
and
certain people that need to hear that.
And like my mother, like, so with this is like our show, our podcast is called Kathy and Susie's Kids. My mother is Kathy.
Okay.
No, Susie.
Okay, I was gonna
We named it after our
ask.
mothers.
No,
Yeah.
I'm messing up, Mom. I'm trolling you. She's mad at Mom. I'm only trolling you because Mom's upset because we're the first ones on the logo,
Right.
And it's her name's Susie.
Right.
It's actually Peggy Sue. Sorry, Mom, but my mom, suffered cancer. Like, and I wrote her a note when I was like 12, because like I remember like when my mom was like in a bed for like 2 years as a kid, like just trying to figure out like what's going on, and like her struggle, her fight,
Right.
was something that just changed my life as a person. Like, and my mom's probably we don't have tons of money, right? But my mom is the most positive. She's always said, Jordan, you could take over the world.
Right.
Well, do whatever you want.
Right.
And she's never like said no. She's always said, Jordan, oh, you're gonna have a podcast? You're gonna be the best podcast.
Oh man, Kathy said no plenty of times. So.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome. There you go.
That's my mother.
Yeah, that's great. Those things are special,
Well, they all
That's
make you
Kathy
who you
right
are.
there.
They all make you who you are. They shape you for the
And
next
I didn't
stage
know
of
your
life.
wife went through all that. That's
she
crazy,
did,
man.
and
That's Trudy. That's Garrett's mom. Trudy, you're here, girl.
We got you.
Yeah, we love Trudy too. Like we're a family.
We're an hour in, guys. If you guys watching got any questions for Senator Wiggins, y'all hit us with them now. Again, man, we really appreciate you coming, dude. This has been awesome.
I appreciate
awesome
y'all
so far.
having me.
We want to do this again. Would you be willing to do another episode?
For Josh, the thoughts on the vaccine cards and the voter ID. What is do you want to have a thought on that?
Look, I generally I don't think we need to mandate that or require that. I mean, it's like, you walk around and you've had vaccines otherwise, or you had like hip surgery or something. I don't know that we need to carry a card around for that. But I do think in private businesses and all, they have a right to determine what they need and want in their environment. And so that's one thing people forget is private businesses can do what they want. They just can. And that's part of the beauty of this country. And on the flip side, you don't have to work for the private business if you don't want to. That's called, I'll put my lawyer hat on, that's called an at-will state.
Yeah.
So guess what? You don't have to work for them. So it's part of that. But no, I don't think at this stage or anything that we need those kind of IDs or whatever.
Do you
I think
see
that's just too far.
any future shutdowns like coming back or?
I actually don't think that you're going to see that because I think when this is all said and done, the story is going to be written, and what you're going to see is the shutdown of the economy was too drastic.
Oh man, it's going to ripple effect.
It was too drastic, and I understand where that was coming from and why he had it, but that's why I don't think you're going to see it again. Even if I'm not mistaken, even with this new outbreak. Even in your quote blue states, you're not seeing that because it was devastating to people. And at the end of the day, we're actually social people. We need to be out and all that stuff. So I think there's a balance that you're going to see. So no, I don't think there's going to be mandates. Certainly not in Mississippi to do that. But, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like,
good.
You're right. No,
I mean, people.
I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
I don't like being told what to do.
I love it.
People don't like being told what to do, but I'll say this, but I think that people need to respect others and tolerance. And if somebody wants to wear a mask, let them wear a mask. Yeah. What's it hurting you? And I will put in a plug because I've been vaccinated. Get vaccinated. Okay. Yes. The science is fine. Okay. And I may get some comments about it. Guess what? It's fine. Get vaccinated. I don't know if y'all are, but it's not going to hurt you.
I got COVID, so I feel like I got my own vaccination.
Well, and there's something to be said for that. But
I'm not a scientist either, so I'm not going to sit here and try to tell anybody my opinion is the right opinion.
Look, I had a meeting last night with the CEO of Singing River Hospital System, and
is he vaccinated?
Was that Lee?
Yeah, that was Lee. You
I
know,
love Lee. Lee's out. He's in the internal fear one. We're gonna be
the Rotary.
Yeah, I love Lee.
Okay.
And he's got a trucking company
That's
too.
right. He does.
Check him out. Check it. What is the truck company that him and his wife have? I love Lee.
I forget. But he was telling me about the story, but he told me one in particular about unvaccinated person dying in ICU, and their last request was for them to tell their family to go get vaccinated. I should have gotten vaccinated. So, that's what's going on in our hospitals. Again, it's people's personal choice.
Yep.
And I respect people's personal choice, but hopefully we can get out of this soon. But my kids have gotten vaccinated.
What's the young, or do you know, what is the minimum age to get vaccinated? Did they say? Is there one?
I thought it was 13.
I was about to say, are they vaccinating kids or?
I think it's 13 that they've approved it for.
Okay.
So
I didn't know.
I didn't mean to bring us down on this issue.
No, not at all. This is just part of a well-rounded conversation.
But I do want to give a shout out to Brandon Bailey. I want to run so Brandon was telling you when you run, whatever you want to run for, my buddy Brandon Bailey, so he's one of our closest friends. He literally started from nothing, and has completely been one of the biggest contractors of FedEx. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the phone calls where he's like, when COVID happened, he goes, let me put you on payroll. You know what I mean? Right. I just want to put you on payroll. I'm like, Brandon, I don't want your money. He goes, let me put you on payroll.
Yeah.
And
but not everybody was fortunate like him.
But his heart's y'all have the same energy, dude. I don't even know. Matt was right. Matt said, when you meet this guy, you're going to be blown away.
Well, birds of a feather flock together, man.
Yeah.
White mind.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
So he paid for a billboard last month for us.
Well, that's awesome.
But that's great.
Billboard.
There you go.
And he's the one that just commented and said, I want to run logistics for you. And that was...
That's good. And he donated it.
Yeah, because he loves us.
Good. Man, that's good.
That's friends.
Everywhere
we
go, man, people, it's been very eye opening to how I guess people want to.
Guys, if you got any questions for us,
so you're going to go national. So you're looking to go national.
Yeah, for 100%.
Yeah.
How else am I going to run for president?
Right. I mean, might as well.
I was thinking Cuba. I'll start there. Ambassador. How would I become the ambassador to Cuba? Is that a thing? Can I just write your name down as a recommendation?
So Preston, you came join late guys. Did y'all talk about 65? Yes, we did. You got to pull into the whole 65 thing.
And watch it.
Yeah, we went far into that. Alex, Garrett's fiance, they're getting married in October.
Yeah, for the kids.
And
Chabos.
She said for the kids.
Junior Auxiliary.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we did the billboard.
We've been part of Junior Auxiliary in Pascagoula Moss Point.
Okay.
And so my wife, I keep talking about her, but she's a life member of JA.
Good.
And so it's a great organization. It's about kids, and they do a great job.
That's where that billboard was for.
Okay. Yeah.
So Senator,
great.
So I own the Match by Appointment Gaucher right next to Body Quest, Kenny Boy Reese's Body Quest. That's my match store.
Man, you're all over the place too.
But I lived in Hickory Hills for a long time. I used to go to see Mark at Jack's by the Track. Dude, and in the Jazz Club.
Come on,
I've been there.
The Jazz Club.
I'm telling you, it's an experience.
All right, so what's the best restaurant in Pascagoula? I'm gonna get you.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah. I'm going to Jack's by the Track.
Okay, I'm gonna play it this way.
And maybe
depends on what you want.
Okay, that's a good call.
Okay, it depends on what you want. If you want the good old big portions of fried seafood, you go to Bozo's.
Okay.
If you want the take the wife, but even just have good drinks and all, you go to Brady's.
Yep.
And you do that. If you want a good old chili cheeseburger and shake, you go to Ed's Drive-In.
Oh, you can't beat it.
You can't fight Ed's, dude. You threw Ed's out of nowhere.
I'm at Ed's
it's generations.
Every time I'm over there, it could be 3 p.m.
But I know Huck's Cove.
Jack says if you want sushi, Jack's by the Track has the best sushi.
Yeah.
So.
But I'll tell you right now, we have to separate Huck's Cove.
Yes.
That is so if you want to just go on a boat,
Gaucher.
No, it's Gaucher / Pascagoula. Let's get over it. Let's get over it. We're together.
That's right. We used to be.
It's so close to the bridge. It's so close to the bridge. We're a family. It's
the Huck's Burger is awesome.
Yeah.
And you pull your boat up there. It's great.
I haven't been there in years.
How about the Bloody Marys? Good Lord.
I don't think I've had that.
Oh man.
That is a great atmosphere. Is Huck's Cove and do that. Back in the day, behind there used to be the Tiki.
Yeah, I remember.
But that's closed now. But that was great. But Huck's is great.
I just remember the signs that said "Don't feed the alligators." There used to be alligators all the time back
then.
That's
right.
All right. Well, Senator, if you want to look into, I think that's your camera here. The second one.
Yeah.
So, how do you plug yourself? How do people can follow you? We've been posting a lot of things, but if anybody's got any kind of questions, how can I find you?
So I hadn't had anybody ask me to look in the camera. That's good.
There you go.
Yeah, right
Senator Brice Wiggins. I'm all on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email, and it's Senator Brice Wiggins, Brice Wiggins MS on Twitter. You can just search all of that and you'll find me on the social. I'm on all the social media.
All of it.
And if you want to, the legislative website too.
An episode.
My website, by the way, is Brice at bricewiggins.net or bricewiggins.net.
bricewiggins.net.
And that's
Yes.
Brice, BRICE,
With an I.
not
That's right.
with the Y.
That's right.
I like it.
This has been great. I appreciate what y'all are doing for the community and bringing the issues to the people.
Man, we appreciate you
and
coming on and
it's,
sharing some of your walk with
we
us.
might end up on a milk carton. We're not sure yet.
what stances
But if we
take,
do,
who knows?
If we'd come up missing, please spend the money, put us on a milk carton, guys.
We'll get somebody to donate a billboard and put you.
That's
up
right.
there.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for listening, and take care.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
We'll see you next
Appreciate
time.
it.
Thanks
Yep.
again.
Are we sending out? This guy's.
Oh my God.
I got the yellow ribbon.
Oh my God.
So, it's okay. You know. How many times did you sit back just relaxing?